year's one on the rights. This year's, I'll just kind of skim over this pretty quickly. Sales tax we left about the same. I really anticipate that will be higher next year, but just to be on the right side, we'll leave it as is. Interest income, obviously it's up tremendously. We started investing a lot back in January, February. So I think 20,000 is on the low side, but just, you never know what interest prices are going to do. Lease income, we did do the big loss there was Las Abundance. We deeded that over to Las Abundance, so we don't get the lease payments for that anymore, so that's why that's a decrease. The incubator lease is up. We have both of those rented today as we speak. We've just had one rented in the past, so that's up a little bit. Probably the biggest significance in the salaries obviously went down a lot, and all that, all the other stuff's pretty much the same. You get down to the operations side of stuff, dues pretty much the same. I was kind of hit on the stuff we changed. Professional development, that's just some trainings that we do. Some of the board members are going to start, like in November, we're taking 2 board members with us for a basic economic training class, so up that just a little bit for the training, to pay for their trainings and stuff with us. Kind of scroll down. Building maintenance is up a little bit. We're gonna redo some flooring in the office, kind of finish with the stuff we started. So that, I think, flooring and some new countertops in there, and that should get us all back going in there. Legal was up a little bit just because we use Rick a lot more than normal. Janitorial and supplies way down. We're cleaning the office ourselves, so that's we're not paying anybody for that anymore, so that's the big decrease in that. Go to the next page. Marketing, we went down a little bit just because we're still plenty good for this year, so I think we'll be all right if we decrease that a little bit. Travel, we upped a little bit just because the board members are going to be going to some trainings with us these days. Professional services, we upped a little bit just with fixing to do the EDA, get the hemp stuff going. We got an EDA grant, we're gonna have to do some of that, so probably be doing a lot more work with OJD for some of that, for some of the engineering and whatnot, so we upped that just a little bit. Get down to the projects, so community grants, we do that once a year. I think we up that 5,000. We're gonna start doing that twice a year, just because a lot of people that put in for community grants, like their events have already happened, or by the time they get their check is already over. So we're gonna try to do that every 6 months, just to kind of catch maybe some more people. Business growth and development, we get a lot of people. We have 2 on our agenda next week. 20,000 for that. It don't go very far. We run out of that. Bob and Pat can tell you, we run out of that quick, especially for some good projects. We run out of that quick. So we upped that a little bit. Same thing with redo at Dumas. And that's pretty much the gist of it. So last year you can see about pretty much a balanced budget last year. This time we have a surplus of about 87,000. So I think we cut a lot of stuff and improved a lot of stuff, stuff we can help businesses and new businesses come to town. So I think we're in good shape. Any questions?
What about your local business development? It just dropped off this year?
Nothing's been spent in that for the last few years, so I don't even know what they used for that. I can't answer that. We went back and looked, and I can't even find. Do you know, Bob?
I'm looking here where he's.
Is that
9862.
9862 community.
We couldn't even really find anything. Where that?
under market?
I don't know that we've ever used it.
So I think that is actually what we do with our business growth and development. The local business development, I believe, is that redo in Dumas and the business growth and development. Those are both local business development. And so I think that was a line item before we had those other 2 line items.
Okay, so they were replaced.
They just haven't cleaned it up.
Okay. Fair enough, thanks.
Yes, sir. Anything else?
Some people ask, most government entities have a balanced budget. They spend everything they make and everything else. With the EDC, just a clarification, a lot of times we have those other incentives. We never know what's going to come at us. We have people asking all the time. And so having a little bit of cash in reserves to cover those things that come out of point is imperative. We've had a lot of big incentives the last couple of years. We've had some really great things come in. And so that doesn't mean we're just trying to stockpile a bunch of cash. What that means is we're putting hay in the barn when an opportunity presents itself. And we never have an idea what's going to happen this year as far as that side of the equation goes.
But even with that being said, we constantly have opportunities.
Yeah.
People coming in and asking.
We may have 86,000 today, but it may not last through the year.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Could change tomorrow.
Yeah, just because we had the right deal come through.
Right.
Any other questions for Brandon? Appreciate all the EDC does and
Absolutely.
look
Thank you,
forward to
guys.
seeing continued success.
Thank you, guys.
All right. I gotta go back to the front so I can remember the order. Okay. Park and Rec Board.
Thank you, Mayor, City Commission. I just wanted to come and present what the next project would be. Well, I guess before I start with that, I wanted to thank Isidro and Jose, Ray. I mean, without them, they help us stretch out the money that is allotted to us every year for these projects. So they really helped out a lot with spreading that money that we get. So for this next year, what we wanted to do is, what we're thinking is some pickleball courts at McDade. Right there, probably where the old skate park is. We've got a lot of feedback on that, so I think that's something that we could try and look forward to as far as providing for the citizens. What I was asking for is $75,000 for the next project next year. I think with that we can stretch it out with the help of Jose and the removal of some of that stuff. I think we can stretch that money out.
And I still need one more bid, but I did get a bid this week for the concrete for taking all that out.
Okay.
And it was a little over 100.
I was speaking with Jose and he says that he would remove. They could.
Do you have any budget?
That was them removing, that was
okay.
just the concrete.
Okay. Okay. I'm looking all through this packet trying to find it.
But that was the idea that we had for the next project for next year. I know things move kind of slow because, that's just the way it is. But for next year, that's the idea.
We're open for 75,000, mainly to redo the skate park for pickleball.
That's correct.
And we've been doing 50, right?
Yes, sir.
Should get us 2 courts with some shade and a couple of amenities with it, and then there's room to expand and add more courts.
Increase it by 25,000.
This is basically just painting lines and nets and some of that equipment.
That's correct.
And that's 75 would change the base, would put a pickleball, an all-terrain base or something, or.
Right, we could look at
The first bid I got, I'm waiting on the other one, but the first bid I got was like 110, everything. I mean, concrete
Removal
lines, that was with the city removing it. And
Okay.
just, they said they really don't like to do 3 inches of concrete, it would have to be 4, and it would just be mesh, not rebar. They just use the mesh.
Okay.
But it was about right at a little over 100 to get that done, from the first estimate that I got.
I love the idea of the pickleball and not having that skate park there anymore. It's not usable.
It's not being used yet.
It's not usable. If you can't ride a skateboard on that.
There's no way. There's no way.
It's really become an eyesore as it is.
It's dangerous.
Yes.
So I do like the idea. Any other questions for the park board?
Yeah, if I can understand this right, y'all are asking for 75,000, and all that 75,000 will go to that pickleball project?
That's the big project for this year.
And we're just increasing the original 50 to 75, so
Correct.
just an additional 25?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. make sure I was on the right.
That's the request.
Okay.
So we believe it'd get you a functional, at least 2 courts, and then add a couple, two more courts following year, hopefully.
And I have had multiple citizens ask us to get pickleball.
I think we had a couple of courts. My dream is to, have a fundraiser and try to get some more buy-in from the community and maybe even corporate sponsor or grant.
Well, there's a lot of high school kids and even adults going to the tennis courts
Yeah, we do.
at nighttime, turning the lights on and playing up
Yeah.
there.
There's the guys at the sheriff's office go up there, and sometimes they're allowed to play at the junior high, but it just depends. So I know that there's some interest in that stuff, so.
To just share with the commission that Ricky and I have been going over their budget. And the only thing I'd like to say, I guess, is that we still need to complete the JBS project. We're not sure if we have the funds, right, to finish that project completely, depending on which way we go.
Correct. So we still need a couple funds. The main thing on there was gonna be the restrooms on there.
I see where you're going, yeah. We don't really want that to just stop either.
So maybe finish that one first. Do we have an idea what the balance would be out there?
No, Ricky and I have been working together. I've got an RFP ready to go, but I didn't want to put that out there until we knew we kind of had the funds for it.
Right.
We've got architectural too
Yeah.
that we've got for it.
The main kicker on there is getting electrical out there, getting power out there. That's kind of the hindrance on that. So after I mean, you would agree after we get that, we'd probably be able to do it. The architect I'm working with, I was like, hey, what about solar? If we can do anything solar. But as far as the ADA stuff, I'm not too sure what we all need. We need the hot water in there, or just that. It's just going back and forth. He's been helping me out with some of that stuff, but the main thing is getting power out there. Getting some power. Right?
And I mentioned to the mayor that I have asked Excel to see if they can help us with anything. I haven't heard back from them, but they're gonna send me an updated quote and see what they can, I can't remember what they quoted us last time. It's quite a bit.
Yeah,
though.
it's pretty expensive. Really expensive. So,
Solar's a
We
good
don't wanna
idea.
put out RFPs, but we need to put out, we don't know how much it's gonna cost unless we get it bid out. There's no way to know how much we're gonna spend, and I know we've got a little extra money there, it may not be enough. But we can talk about that at budget, but I'd also know that there was part of that project that we knew we were gonna have to pay extra on for the sewer.
right.
Because we were originally gonna do a drop sewer, and we decided that we didn't wanna do that, we wanted to tie it into the system.
Correct.
And so, but those are things that we can talk about there, but, the thing, we can't make a decision on that unless we know how much it's gonna cost.
And like I said, this would be the board's desire, but it doesn't have to be earmarked. We wouldn't earmark it for just pickleball. But that is the direction that the board would like to go.
Yeah, it just helps me, sir, so I can put the budget together for the park side of it, to make sure that we're putting enough in for benches for, that stuff that we thought we wanted to separate anyway. But I don't want Tom to be coming to y'all and asking, hey, I need a park bench here, I need this and there, and
Which we can talk a little bit about that before budget or whatever, but to me, everyday maintenance of the park is not the park board's problem. That's the city of Dumas's problem, personally. And we can have that discussion
I think
In the
Ray's
meeting,
made it
we've-
clear to the board, that's his position too. so.
and we've had that conversation before, but that's, I don't, the park board is supposed to be coming up with how do we stay current with the changing trends, what do we provide services for and things like that, where do we want our parks to go? But once we got our parks there, I think it's on us as a city to take care of our parks, personally. But again, we probably need to talk a little bit before the budget, but that's something we can discuss in budget as well.
That's all I have.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Ricky.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ricky. We'll move on to the Dumas Moore County Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center. Oh, and downtown association. I see the 2 lines now. Oh, yeah.
Mayor,
Mr. Watson?
Commissioners. You have before you our information from the previous year. So I won't bore you with all the details. You can read that at your leisure, and we're very pleased with what we've been able to accomplish the past year. We hope to continue to do that in the future. And as Irene and I, when we were with you before, the budget that we had presented at that time has not changed too much. In the past, my budget pretty much doesn't deviate. It's been around $240,000 a year. That takes care of all of most of our personal needs as far as the accounting and advertising and all that stuff that we do. The only difference from our standpoint this year, we did raise our particular budget request by $20,000. 10 of that, we have not requested any kind of an increase as far as payroll goes. And since I've been here, I don't believe. So we added another $10,000 to help defray some of the expenses. As you well know, they go up every year. And then we just added in, we were working with the city manager and the city and the EDC on this new program we're looking at for marketing purposes to find out information that would help us to explain to the state where the money is going and how many people are coming to our events and that sort of thing. It's quite an interesting program. I believe that it's something that's viable. So unfortunately, we did not have that built in. We were able to, because we did have some extra funds, we were able to put in for this year the $10,000, but we had just added that in since the way we're going to be structured as far as the future goes. We need to make sure that we have all of our expenses covered. And then the other portion of it will be $105,000. We had mentioned to you $100,000. We are looking at the feasibility of acquiring the Downtown Association due to some legalities that we have as far as their ability to do their job and function with the downtown and help promote that the way they've been doing, which has been very successful, I think. And anyway, because of that, we're looking at the feasibility of them being absorbed into the chamber, where they will still have an office in the downtown area, obviously, and but we'll also add on some additional duties for the chamber if this is approved. So from that, I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Delgado, unless you have other questions for me on my end.
So our budget from last year was $142,000. This year, our portion is $104,000. So we reduced it, we got rid of a position, and we got rid of our downtown incubator store. And so this way, we'll have a work office. It won't be a building, it'll just be a workspace to be in downtown, as well as working at the chamber. So we will have two positions, or two offices that we can work out of. How it would work is the downtown director would be a liaison between the downtown board, which is going to be more of a suggestion board, and then that position at the chamber will relay the information to try to see what downtown is needing at that moment. All projects that the downtown does will be funded through fundraisers or privately funded. We won't use the hotel motel funds for that anymore, or grants. And with the board still keeping their nonprofit status, we can still apply with grants through that, but we can also apply how we've done it through the city.
It's like you're checking all the boxes.
Try.
It'll give you more opportunities for.
It will. This way we can become a Main Street city and actually apply for it. In the previous years, we've applied for it, but there's no position that is directly funded through the city for a Main Street program. Since we were funded through the chamber and then the chamber gave us the funding, that didn't qualify. And so we didn't qualify for a Main Street position that way. This way, since we are directly funded through the city, we do qualify for a Main Street program position. And it would just be any one of us can do the program. Once they know that there's a position that says, yes, this person's in charge of the program, they will push the application through to become a Main Street city.
And remind us what the Main Street, what that opens up.
So it's a designation. It designates your city as one of the top cities of Texas. As of right now, there's only about 200 cities that are a Main Street city. You can do a Main Street city through the state of Texas. You can also do a Main Street city through America. So there's Main Street cities of America and there's Main Street cities of Texas. You have to go through Texas first and then go the America route. But that opens you up for a lot more grants, and it also opens you up for a lot more tourism because that program favors Main Street cities. And so it's open to a lot more designation to say this specific town is a Main Street city.
A lot more advertising, a lot
Correct.
more exposure. So,
All right. Any questions for Carl and Irene? I appreciate all y'all do, all the activities and everything else. I mean, there's always something going on in Dumas. Enjoy the car show this weekend.
Come see the cars.
All right, we'll move on to the Moore County Art Association. And the Moore County, do y'all want to do it together or do you want to do it separate?
I think we'll do it separate.
Okay, Moore County Art Association. Marty?
You want me to copy my budget?
Sure, if you got copies
I
for
did
it.
bring copies, yes. It's only as this year's, I didn't think to put last year.
thank you.
You just have to trust me when I show you what changed. There you go. Okay. First off, thank y'all for letting me come today, and thank you so much for the hotel tax money that we receive. We do try to use it efficiently. This year, our budget did have to go up a bit. We, like everybody else, has been affected by inflation. So some of the areas that you would expect, accounting, janitorial, office, program expenses, and repairs have all creeped up a bit. And then we also, this year, the Board of Directors voted to give us a raise, which I was very appreciative of, but that also increased our wages there. So the money that we receive, we use it to preserve and promote art here in Moore County. We accomplish this by being a place for area artists to meet, to hang their artwork, which if you know any artists, that's one of the big problems they have, is having somewhere to put their art. We change our shows out here every 4 to 6 weeks. We have booked through 2026, and I'm starting to work on 2027. Right now, we've got a show coming up. We just had John Birdsong from Portales deliver his artwork. And John's been showing here since the 1970s, and one of the things he is telling us is this will probably be his last one-man show. So he started here with Carolyn Stallwitz being the one who brought him in, and he says it's very appropriate that he would do his last one-man show here. He's going to continue to paint, but he's only going to participate in shows where there's several artists. So we are very lucky to have him here and lucky to have this one last time. Excuse me. He's also going to do a workshop at the end of his exhibit, and we hope he will continue to do workshops here. The workshop has been filled up since probably June. We can only get 16 students in there to have the room to paint. But it's been filled. We've got a waiting list on it, so that's good news. That features, we have probably 6 artists that are coming in from out of town that'll be using the motels while they're here and eating in the restaurants and everything. So we always like it when we can bring people in. We also try to keep all of our dollars local. Anything that we buy, if we can buy it locally, we'd rather do it that way. After we have John, we have our quilt exhibit that it goes along with Museum Day. And I'm gonna let Glenda talk about Museum Day, but I do wanna say, when you come out to Museum Day, be sure you come over to the Arts Center. We have a beautiful quilt show, and you get to vote on your favorite quilt, so somebody gets a prize for having the best quilt. We also have a quilt raffle, a queen-size quilt that our group that quilts with us on Monday night made. And a beautiful quilt, and we're raffling it off, and we have bingo in our classroom. We give away some cash prizes and gift cards and things like that. So be sure when you come out to Museum Day to come over to our site too. So the other thing that we use our money for, we always use it to bring educational programs. During the summer, we have our kids' art classes. They were full this year, as they usually are. Celinda Hightower, the high school art teacher, teaches them with the help of one of our local artists, Keith McCabe. And the kids, they love it. And they sign up. You can sign up for either 1 week or 2 weeks or both weeks. And most of the kids that sign up for 1 week, if there's any way they can, they end up signing up for that second week too, because they just have so much fun and learn a lot about art. It's not just crafts. She teaches them actual art in there too. And then, of course, we have our workshop coming up. The classroom always stays busy. Monday nights, as I said, we have a quilting group that meets there. There's 10 or more that meet there every Monday night and quilt together. Today's paint day, and when I left today, we had 8 artists in our classroom that they all bring their own supplies and paint together and motivate each other. So it's always a fun day around there. We also host a monthly craft class. One of our local artists, Donna Livingston, teaches a class. It's usually on a Friday night, and it might be just a simple acrylic painting. It's for people that want to try it, but maybe they're not quite in that artist mode yet. And she teaches it and supplies everything. If you're ever interested in looking into that, that's always on Facebook as to what's going on. The classroom's also available for rental. We just had a baby shower there this last weekend, so there's always things going on in there. So far in 2024, we've had about 4,000 people through our front doors. We're hoping to continue to increase that, obviously. And I guess that's about what I wanted to say. If you can think of anything else you need to know, I'm happy to answer your questions.
Any other questions for
It's good.
Christensen?
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank y'all for all y'all do. I love walking through the art exhibit.
Maybe.
Thank you so much.
All right. Moore County Historical Museum. Ms. Flug,
Do you need a budget?
if you got one, we sure would love it. How are you today?
I'm fine. We sent some earlier, but we kind of thought maybe we should have a spare.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. It's always great to come and talk to y'all about the museum. Most of you have been through our doors within the last year, and we have a lot of other people that come through our doors. We have visitors from a lot of different places. Our daily job is to greet those visitors. Last year we had 5,622 that actually registered at our desk. They were from 38 states and 11 foreign countries. I think it's amazing that people from the foreign countries wind up coming to a small town Dumas. We had visitors from Argentina, Austria, Canada, France, Germany, Ireland, Luxembourg, Mexico, Puerto Rico, South Africa, and Ukraine. So we're attracting attention from a lot of places. Our favorite job, we enjoy the visitors, but our favorite job is to have skits for the school kids. And this year, we had skits and tours for 994 students. and they were from 84 different school groups. So we're teaching the elementary kids as early as preschool the history of our county and our area. The last week in February and the first week in March, we have Night at the Museum. And that's a great time for kids and for the volunteers that help us. The fourth grade students who have met their reading goals at school are allowed to come to the museum, and the museum is dark. It's at night. No lights are on. And as they come through in small groups, teachers lead them with flashlights. They stop in front of an exhibit, and a light comes on, and that exhibit comes to life. So they learn about blacksmithing, ranch life, World War II, windmills, the camp meeting. There's 24 different places that they stop and see, and they have a great time. The volunteers have as much time, as much fun as the kids. This year we had 171 volunteers and 410 students that came through on 3 nights at Night at the Museum. We already have the 3 elementary schools in Dumas scheduled and Sunrise scheduled, and the Dalhart Christian Academy has contacted us. They want to come, and the Channing schools have contacted us. So Night at the Museum is becoming pretty popular. We've had a lot of adults that want to know how they can come through, and we're still working on that idea. We want to turn it into some kind of fundraiser, because we always need money. Now we're getting ready for our annual museum day, which will be September the 28th. And it's our biggest fundraiser of the year, and it usually brings in over 500 people. We have a fantastic car show. We have a tractor show, maybe. That's kind of wishy-washy on the tractor show. We have a pie baking contest. We have bingo at the Art Center. We have events for the kids. We have raffles. We're going to raffle a freezer full of meat, a trip to a Sod Poodles game with an overnight stay in at Marilla, a Blackstone griddle and prep table, and 2 guns. One is custom made, and the other is a Golden Boy 22 or something. I don't know guns, but it's a nice gun. They'll be on exhibit at the museum starting tomorrow. So come by and look at them and take your chance to win one of those guns. Our budget increase for the next year is just over $21,000. Most of the increase is for repairs and for wages. We can't predict repairs. We've just had a real problem with the repair on our parking lot. The asphalt kept crumbling. We've repaired, and repaired. Over the last several years, we've spent over $160,000 trying to repair our parking lot. We contracted with the repairman this year, and he started working on it, and the more he worked, the more it crumbled. So we paid him for what he had done, and then realized we had to do something different. So we bit the bullet, I guess you'd say, and contracted with another company to do concrete. And we're just finishing up the concrete. In fact, tomorrow we can park on the north side of it for the first time. We're real proud of the parking lot. We think it's been a real asset, even though it really wiped out our savings. But it'll be there for 30 years, they tell us. We won't have to do yearly repairs anymore. Any repairs are unpredictable. We're having to repair air conditioners pretty frequently. Some of them are over 20 years old, and we're getting to the point they're kind of wearing out. Excuse me a minute. We also made repairs on our walking trail out back. It's an asphalt trail that winds around the 10 acres where you can see all the outside exhibits. So we've had a lot of repairs this year, but I've increased our budget a little bit for air conditioner repairs and stuff for next year. The other major increase is wages. We've eliminated one part-time job, but that part-time job has been replaced with a full-time employee. So we have more hours that we're going to have to pay wages on. In order to cut costs when possible, we join with the Art Center in advertising and the parking lot repairs. Anything that we can do jointly and save money, we do that. Instead of having 2 ads, we have a combination ad. So we're trying to save money and stretch our budget. Proceeds from the occupational tax keep our doors open. Without them, we couldn't welcome all these visitors. We couldn't have the program for the kids. And we appreciate these taxes very much. We thank you for your support. Are there any questions? No?
I will say, every time my granddaughter comes and stays with us, that's where she wants to go, is the
Yeah.
museum.
Well, we're glad you bring her.
We come through there quite a bit.
Some of the rest of you ought to have grandkids you can bring.
Hopefully, I'm a little ways away from that.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that right now, but my kids do love the night at the museum. So, all right, that's the last group that we have on our work session. Let me double check and make sure that's it. That looks like everything else is done, so we will adjourn the meeting.